180. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Omar Brown. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show once again.
Hey, not a problem, not a problem, man. Happy to be here as always.
Now, for people who want to know what uncensored is, uncensored it's my way of showing people that even with a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life.
Right.
At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of disabilities or learning disabilities. But you should never give up, and you should prove to people you can still mount to something no matter what. So it's a half hour, 45 minutes of your time. You can say anything you want, curse if you want to. It's just your time. And starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, due to the fact this is part two of our interview, I can't remember what was going on the last time you interviewed, but I've been getting back into music now. I was doing a lot of video editing for short film for some Stage 32 clients. Also, too, I'm a subcontract broadcast engineer for my city. So whenever they have like the little meetings or whatever's going on in the city, they need to have that live broadcast. I've been doing that. Also, too, I'm managing, doing an admin of a Facebook group called Natron Nation. I'm very heavily into like the open source software, and this particular software happens to be a nice high-end VFX compositor. So I don't know if anyone heard of the term, this software called Nuke. It's by a company called the Foundry. It's like a lot of the films you see in the movies, like say Transformers, Jurassic Park, like some of these recent movies in the past 10 to 15, 20 years has been composited into that particular software. So to give you an idea, it's like, say, for instance, taking like different layers of action. You can have people who's walking in front of the cameras, people, other things going in the foreground, background, so on and so forth. And sometimes based on budgets, on what you need to control, and based on the scene or the shot,
Right.
you film things in like different times, different segments. And what you do, once you film that, then you can composite them all back together as if they was filmed together at the same time. Because there might be times where you need to have some smoke in a particular section, but you can't have smoke all the time for every shot. So you can film that separately with people who's in that shot, and then you can composite it together from being filmed against a green screen or a blue screen or red screen, whatever the case may be. So that's what I've been basically doing. So, like I said, this past month now, I've been turning on my trusty Kai samplers, A4000, and rearranging my studio and also my editing suite. So I'm having a pretty good time now. And also, too, being a father and a husband, so that takes up 95% of the time. So the other 5%, I'm trying to get it in.
Well, if you're interested, I would love to work with you if that's a possibility.
What kind of work do you do? Or what do you do, I mean?
Oh, I promote myself. I use iMovie and
Oh, okay. I'm familiar with that, yeah. I use Final Cut Pro and Lightworks for most of my editings, and some, maybe a little bit Avid. But go ahead.
well, what can you tell us about the Final Cut Pro and Lightworks?
Well, I started back on Final Cut way back in the day. It was like version 1.7 or 1.8. Just 2 was coming out. And I was, see, I'm coming from the days of like VHS, Super VHS, Beta, where literally we had to sit down at a little table where you had to put like, here were your tapes of everything you filmed. And on this side right here, where this right here is to receive, and this right here is to transmit.
Right.
So everything that you film, you had to put in this particular deck, cue it up, and then you had to cue it where you need to put it on the particular tape, and you just had to go from tape to tape. I come from that particular time, and trust me, it was fun, but yet it was kind of frustrating because you really had to be organized and have your stuff labeled right, what shot, what part of the scene. So therefore, something like time code was like your best friend, and you used to have all these cue sheets. Now with digital, with nonlinear editing, with NLEs, with computer-based editing, you don't have to worry so much about that. Granted, you may have something to do with time code and other, especially if you're filming things that's time code based. And that's more so doing stuff you have to do like live shows or recording shows where they have to go directly to broadcast as opposed to a webcast. When you're doing web stuff, you don't have to worry about time code. But because of the fact that everything on television and broadcast is based on time, that time code stuff that is still kind of very important and having like different levels of that. So in Final Cut, it allows you to do all that particular editing. and it does a whole lot more. Now with iMovie, I'm familiar. I think only used it once, but you have your limitations with
Yeah.
that. You just don't you don't have to worry about time code inside iMovie. You inside the pro versions, you have the feature will allow you to do like a lot of multicam. I don't know if you heard of that particular term before, but sometimes when you see like shows or even news, perfect example, the news. You never seen somebody be talking blah blah, and the weather is today and such and such and such and such, and they turn to a camera. And after that, turn back to this camera, and next thing you know, you're looking over here. Now in the studio, there can be like, say for instance, two cameras to like three cameras. If you have like two people at a desk, there's one center camera, and then there's a camera of that's facing
Right.
this person. And there's a camera over here that's facing that person. So that's three cameras right there. So that's basically, and all that is being filmed real time to separate streams. So when you're in a non-linear in an NLE like the Final Cut, Vegas, Adobe, Adobe Premiere, or Avid, you can bring all those things in and you can like edit them onto certain timelines. So if you know you have like your little edit cue sheets, okay, you want this person to be seen at this point when they're saying this. If you want to do a cutaway, everything is right there is can be all edited in. Plus you have your high end effects like chroma keying, color correction. And what's most important too is when you're dealing with different cameras, because every camera on the market, all of them does not render the same kind of color properly. And also too, we now knowing that a lot more films may not be the best of quality, but they're getting done, or it's being filmed on mobile media. You have the Android phones, you have the iPhones, basically more films coming on the iPhone because the iPhone 5, 6, something, all this third-party software. I don't know, have you heard this movie called Tangerine? It was
Heard.
in the Cannes films when it went to awards. That film, I have the same software that those guys used to film that movie on the iPhone 5. I think it was the iPhone 5 or 5S, or iPhone 5S or the 6, I think they was using at the time. And being able to ingest all that media, where it's coming from an iPhone, where it's coming from like a little small, well, I can't find my camera right now, wherever, wherever it is. But all these things basically is coming together, and when you having software like Final Cut or Premiere or stuff like you can ingest all that. You can match your color correction with each individual camera because you don't want to have a camera. I mean, have any kind of short or feature showing through the whole time, and you're seeing that different color renditions and stuff like that. So you have to match those colors. You have to do those color grading. You have to do the color corrections, and that's where the Final Cut comes into play because it has that strength and that power to do so.
Oh, I like iMovie because I've been using it for the past 15, 20 years.
Right.
And
It's a good software. Like I said, if you're doing stuff like what you're doing right now, this is perfect. iMovie is perfect for that.
no, absolutely. I was looking at Final Cut and it has all these different things, and it was a little overwhelming because I never used it before, and I didn't know what the hell I was looking at.
Well, put it this way: if when you are ready to start doing like something that's called corporate video or films or individual shorts, would it be long or short? I mean, short or featured. When you need to have when you need to ingest a massive amount of assets, would it be like pictures, images that are going to be acted be as background plates, audio, different what you call it, media of audio? Would it be FLAC? Would it be MP3, Wave, AIF, or stuff like that? Broadcast Wave. You got like different resolutions of video. Some video might be HD, some might be like 2K, some might be 4K, 8K, and so on and so forth. You need a software that's going to be able to handle all that data management. And that's where Final Cut comes into play, where it has that asset library now. They really completely changed the way we used to work on the old Final Cut. The new Final Cut here now, a lot of folks was against it, but I was for it because it's now like a database now. It's a database that edits. So it's great. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm going to pass the show over to you. Was there anything you wanted to ask me? Anything you want to talk about? Any subjects? This is your time, after all.
Uh, well, I want to be more get more into the having the knowledge about like yourself, because let's make a second interview and you're saying that people with a disability, or is it a learning disability? What was that you had mentioned?
Oh, I'm not saying if you have a learning disability or disabilities, but you should never give
Okay.
up or have people label you. You should
Okay.
prove to them you can surmount something.
Okay. So, do you mind talking about if you have a disability? You mind talking about that and what it is? No, educate the people like me who has no idea the obstacles that your guys basically come with be learning or physical, and how maybe you may say, well, there's this all levels of discrimination, and I'm pretty sure with disabilities, that's just one form of discrimination depending on employment, housing. Um, Perfect example is that I had a great aunt. For some oddball reason, she likes to talk to herself. Sometimes she just talks to herself. And I'm sure that basically I was like a medical condition and birth and things like that. But it wasn't really all that bad. But for some strange reason, they had never hired her because other people in the place say that they found it distracting, or they had some kind of fear of the unknown. Blah blah blah. Why don't you start having more conversations with different kind of people that's not even there? I'm like, so you know what? You got to have develop industries where with people with these particular. Uh, I'm like, I don't like to call them disabilities, even though they may be labeled as such. I like to call them basically. Say it's just a different way of living, different way of survival. And there are some. I'm pretty sure there's things that people who categorize or classify as having disabilities, things I can't do that they can and do it successfully. You know what I'm saying? And probably be a genius at it. So I like to talk about basically like saying how have you how have you faced the obstacles of having a disability, and have you experienced any kind of discrimination because of that, or bigotry, or how, or what the term is used for that?
Alright, well, before I do, is there a way you can close that shade behind you because it keeps getting brighter and it keeps getting like dinner, so.
Okay, let me like move this over to here. Oh gosh.
Alright, perfect.
Okay, that's better.
Well, the first thing I want to point out is why people want to say, oh, why is this part 2? It's because I now have a new format. So when I do the interview now, it's got to be cut in half. I'm going to be on the right, you're going to be on the left. So if you've seen Fox News, CNN,
Oh yeah, I've seen those before.
it's
Yeah.
got to be like that. The
Right.
first time we did it, I was recording it from my phone. So I was only getting the image from the phone,
Okay.
from the screen. So I got a lot of people saying to me, and it's just going back to the discrimination and disabilities. And I can get to that in 1 minute.
Right, go ahead, take your time. Take your time.
It's oh well, trying to find a word for it. These people were coming out of freaking woodwork, saying, "Oh, your video is degrading. My agent or my publicist said it was degrading. You were demeaning. That you said he had a disability, but we don't see it. The video quality was shit." I was like, okay, okay, maybe it was shit, but I'm starting out. This is season 1, or when we did season 2, but I think we did season 1, so about like a year ago, 2 years ago.
Matter of fact, no. You talking about us?
Yes.
No, last time I checked, right, it was March 15th of this year. It was early this year.
Oh, so like almost a year ago. but
No, well, almost a year. Yeah, almost a year. Yeah.
but the point is I came a long way from recording from the phone
Right.
to having the camera recording it from the screen, and now I'm doing it professionally, was to cut down the middle. So I'm doing it before and after. So when I first did it, I didn't want to be like this because professional right off the bat. Then I was like, well, I want to show people that I had to come over controversy and roadblocks in my way. So we did the phone, then we did the camera, and now this is part 3. And I can't wait to do the interview with you in person once I get a studio. But going back to those people, is that they're saying, oh, it's degrading, you were lying, the video quality was shit, and what's this, and what's that. And it's like a year later, 2 years later, it's kind of like, okay, well, do you want to do it over? I'm also extending my hand to you in friendship. Do you want to do it over? No, I want nothing to do with people like you. And it's kind
Mm.
of like, just be what happened to those video endorsements you said that, oh, you're doing a terrific thing, keep up the good work. And also, I was extending my hand to you in friendship because I do this to prove a point and make new friends. Even though that sounds stupid to people, but I don't give a damn. But you're throwing it back in my face because you got someone in your ear saying that's not what it's expected of you. So I don't put up with shit like that. It's like, if you give me your word, I'm like my grandfather. Your word is your word. If you say you gotta do something, then man up or woman up and say, I'm gonna stand by it. I don't care what anyone says. This is what I did.
And that's good advice that your you say your grandfather, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's great advice. Yeah, I was raised by my grandparents, so I can understand basically the wisdom behind that. And you know what? And the problem is that you got so many people basically that's okay. Remember I tell you before I'm a Christian, and I want to share this quote with you, a biblical quote, whereas that those who don't believe or those who don't go to church may glean from it. And the quote says, and it's something basically I can't remember what it's in the New Testament. I can't remember if it's in Matthew or Luke or Mark. It says that think highly of yourself, but not no more highly than you ought, but not no more highly than you ought to. And what that means by that lots of times that people, I mean, when we say think highly of yourself, that means be encouraged, stay encouraged, and keep encouraged. Don't let anybody knock you down. Sometimes when in life, you may have friends and family and things like and they may say one thing to your face, but behind your back they're knocking you down. And sometimes you look around for that word of encouragement, and you can't get it from anyone, friends nor family. And the Bible teaches us that sometimes you have to encourage yourself, and which you're doing now. That word that your grandfather gave me said, don't worry about them, keep doing what you're doing. That was the words of encouragement, saying, regardless of the obstacles that you come across, whether it be a person, place, or thing that might try to hold you back, stay encouraged. Keep on doing it. Encourage yourself. Because if you're not getting it from anybody else, you have to dig deep and keep doing it within yourself. Now, that's the part where it says, think highly of yourself. But then when it gets to the part that says, no more highly than you ought to, now that's the killer. Because people start to feel themselves. They think, oh, because I have reached this a little bit of status, I'm going to blow myself up as if I'm like, the greatest thing since ice cream or sliced bread. And that's where you get into those particular problems with people who has that ego. And when people who does that, he seems to be like demeaning or condescending, back-faced, double-minded. They say one thing, then they cut you off. Those are people who are scary cats. People who can't face up to it. Who are afraid to live within their own truth. And you're going to come across that. And for those basically who say, oh, you're talking about this, they was demeaning, blah 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 blah. I'm pretty sure that when you interview them, they went in knowing this. But
Yes.
then when they had somebody who they trusted was like, no, beating them down. Now they have to find a way to feel good about themselves and come back to beat you down. Because the fact that like I was telling my wife today, I said, yeah, this guy basically wanted to interview me again. And here's the thing, I'm always humble and happy because I'm like saying, hey, I don't ever get the chance to opportunity to do these kind of things. So I don't care. It can be like a 5-year-old, 10-year-old want to try to interview me for something that they're trying to do, and I'm always going to be encouraging. They say, oh yeah, you keep on doing that because my background is this. I'm in the media. I'm in the film. I'm in the audio. So there's enough room for everybody to eat. And as vast as the internet is there's no reason why someone like yourself can't really like say, you know what, I am representing a community of people who've been looked down upon. Look what I'm doing now. Someone like me can blow up your situation. You're gonna try to come back at me? Like, don't worry about that. Because my quote is this, and I live by that. I said, be my friend now. Because when I get famous, I'm not gonna know you.
Right.
Take it. Use it for yourself. Because you tell us, look here, because you never know, like, in the Christian world, like we say, well, I'm a man of faith. So I live by this. I would never know where my blessing is going to come from. It could be some situation where I might be on David Leno or whatever kind of show that may be on, you know what I'm saying, and go nowhere. But someone like yourself coming around, blowing up the internet, like, and brought me a lot of people who may see your broadcast, and boom, my phone will be ringing off the hook. So therefore, I have to see y'all as equal. It's not about the quality of the broadcast; it's the integrity of the interview. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. What pisses me off, and most recently I got in a fight with this ECW wrestler. It's because,
Okay.
we were doing a part two, because, it's like I said, I did it on the phone. I wanted to do it, like, to cut
Right.
screen. And when we got off the air, he was giving me, like, one of our answers. It's like, 20 minutes is enough. I can't do this. But off the air, it's like, oh, you are asking me the same goddamn questions as everyone else. You're big freaking original, blah, 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 blah. And the part that offended me was I extended my hand in friendship, even though that sounds retarded for most people, but I don't care. I'm doing this to prove a point and make new friends. He says, oh, bro, you were making friends, or you want to make a new friend out of it. And as soon as he did that, I was like, you know what, man? I'm done. Yeah, it's like, thank you for your time, and I blocked him on all social media. I even went to his wife, and I explained through her what happened. He says, I'm done with your husband. He disrespected me and whatever. And I was like, tell him I want nothing to do with him. Because there was no excuse for that.
Right.
Absolutely,
Right.
dude.
Right. It'd be one thing if you was like coming across as like being disrespectful. Because that's like I said, people have to understand is that you should automatically know what you're getting into just by common sense when you're going to do an online interview or shows stuff like that. You think, look, you're a wrestler. What other kind of questions that someone should ask you outside of your profession? I mean, because if you don't put stuff out there about your personal life, then don't expect people to ask you about your personal life because the interviewer may feel like, you know what, that's crossing lines. And that's where I say where the integrity of the journalistic value. So I'm going to consider this right here, even though it's like a Skype. I'm going to consider it as being journalism.
All right.
Just basically, what is it? It's just a different. I mean, what is it? The difference of you interviewing me over Skype as opposed to interviewing me in a coffee shop, person to person, and you doing commentaries and what the case may be. It does. It's still journalism. So look at it for basically for what it is, take it for what it is, and claim it for what it is, journalism. And that's just the nature of the beast. You have a lot of people out there who's trying to make a name for themselves. You know what I'm saying? And like throwing integrity out the door. You know what I'm saying? And just like it's just the absence of malice. You know what I'm saying? You don't care. I just want to get the story. And it's like sometimes you have some people who interview trying to get the story of someone that has nothing to do with them, or like say if you calling me about my profession, what would my personal have to do with anything about this? So when people don't are let's see this wrestler, I don't know what kind of question everybody always asking him, but if a wrestler does something in his profession that everybody want to ask him about, he should be happy about that because somebody is recognizing that. And you know how hard it is to get recognized for talent. I mean, actual talent. I'm not trying to knock nobody's hustle, but let's take the Kardashians for one. Beautiful women, but I'm still trying to figure out what kind of talent that they have. But yet they have a multi-million-dollar empire. Where's the talent? I don't see none. And here it is, somebody who has the ability with the athleticism and skill set, and everybody's like, we're going to, is blowing him up, and he gets upset because the fact that someone's asking the same old talent questions. Hey, what about this? Blah 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 blah. And then because of that, they want to try to do an outburst. You don't need them, because trust me, it's gonna get to a point where gonna be some other wrestlers gonna be coming on your show, and when people start to see, they say, "Oh, yo, we saw your interview, dude. Keith knocked it out the box." Start blowing up. Before you know it, you might be doing a face to face. How you know? You might even have the budget to do like a face-to-face real time through some new technology, something like a stream over the line, and their careers blows up. You blow up. Everybody want to be on the Keith show. So, like I said, stay encouraged, man. For people who want to try to knock you down, hey, it's okay. It is okay.
No, absolutely, I agree with you. And now I'm gonna pass the shoulder back over to you in 1 minute. But like I said, I asked everyone the same questions. In number season one, where do you stand on gay rights, or where do you stand on using the race card? We're asking hard hitting questions.
Mm-hmm.
And season two, I was like, okay, let's get a little more personal. Did you enjoy high school and college? What made you want to become like you, become in media? What did you do this and that? Season three is supposed to be double interviews. So I'm trying different questions, and yes, I came from the phone to recording it from the screen. But the point of the matter is, and the fact is, you knew beforehand what you were walking into. I was I almost said I'm unprofessional. I am very professional. Do I say stupid things? Yeah. But that's just who I am. I don't have a filter.
You know what? It wouldn't be an interview if someone. I mean, I'm pretty sure because like I have like a little small list from time to time, and sometimes like my brain will think faster than my mouth can move, so my mouth has to catch up to my brain, and it wouldn't be an authentic, organic interview if you didn't make mistakes or didn't say something that's crazy. So don't worry about that. You're
Yeah,
your own boss. You can do what you want.
yeah, absolutely. I asked hard hitting questions. I asked different questions.
Right.
The video quality is getting better, and just the fact is, that it's not an official talk show. I'm making a statement. I'm trying to turn it into an official talk show. It's about supporting people with disabilities, and yes, I'm doing it for myself too, but also I'm turning myself into a perfect example. It's all these different things you knew beforehand, and now you get someone in your ear saying it's degrading, it's beneath you, it's this or it's that, or whatever BS you want to say. It's kind of like, one, why did you do the interview? And actually, I'm going to put you on the spot, then I'm going to pass the show over to you, and you can finish up the show for about 16 minutes. When I approached you, what was your honest opinion? Two, what made you say yes? And now, number three, because we're doing a follow up, do you still feel the same as you did when I first approached you, or do you think it's getting better over time? What is your honest opinion? And you can say whatever you want.
Well, I can't remember how you contacted me before.
Stage 32.
Okay, it was stage 32, and you contacted me. You say you want to interview me on your show. Did you mention anything about the disability thing?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Apparently, that must have been something that just like whatever. I don't care about what the individual may have. Let me just be real with you. Everybody on this planet has a disability. Some may be more visible than others. We all have disabilities. I have a disability. Why? You know what I'm saying? Because there's some things that when we think about disabilities, it's like saying that something that you don't have a grasp on to do what we consider to be normal. But what is that too, right? So taking that into mind, I was more excited about the fact that someone was willing and wanted to interview me more than the fact that it matters that hey, the person had a disability. So that here we are in the second interview, and I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out basically what is the disability that you have. So I'm like, let me just say that I'm not even trying to figure it out because it doesn't care because you doing what you doing, and I'm like not even thinking about the disability. You just happen to be another person who says they have a disability. Okay, fine. I'm the interviewee. I don't know any particular disability that I know of, but I will say everybody on this planet has something they don't have the ability to do. So we all dysfunctional and have disabilities. Now, what was her second question? It says, why did I
Yeah,
do it
why
this?
did you say yes? And what made you say yes? And the third one was, do you feel the same way now as you did then, or what's your opinion on me? And you can say anything you want.
Okay, I mean, the first time I was excited, and why did I say yes? Because this is my way of like saying, hey, for those who doesn't know me and want to know more about me, and me getting a chance to like present things that I do and my thought processes and stuff, and to be honest about it, hey, why not? I don't have a fear factor because what can anybody do or say or do to you except for like curse you out, cut you off. There's a billion people on this planet. I'm not going to worry about one. I'm not going to worry about a million. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm not happy, everybody else around me is not going to be happy. But if I'm happy, everybody else around me is going to be happy. Whether you like my way of thinking or not, you're still going to walk away being a happy person. Because I'm going to say, look, even though we don't agree, be encouraged anyway. You know what I'm saying? Keep on striving to do better, to be better. You know, and this third one, this one in particular, now I can't remember what the quality was before, but it still looks pretty good to me. I mean, I've noticed that if I do remember this, that you're not stammering as much as probably you did before. I don't know if it was because out of nerves, interviewing somebody for the first time, whatever the case may be, but that comes with the territory. I mean, I've been around musicians and stuff all my life, and I still get nervous around playing with other musicians and stuff. Even talk about compositing or editing, because the fact that I like it so much, I don't want to. I'm nervous about the fact that I don't want to give the wrong information. So having this platform that you are providing allows me to share and to get better if I ever want to get into teaching and stuff here again. At the same time, to share thoughts, because what I do is not described about who I am. Because once people get to know me, they'll say, "Omar, you're one of the most funniest, craziest person that think on the planet." But at the same time, too, we mentioned before about your word. I grew up and I understood that if you don't have anything else left on this planet, if you don't own anything else, what you do own is your word. And I live by my word because my word is me. If I put out something there and it doesn't follow through with it, then my name is mud. I care about what I put out there. It's my character, and I can't have my character come into question by saying, "Oh, Omar is this and Omar is that." The one thing you will notice about me is that what I'm a funny nut, crazy, like to laugh, bug out, kind of stuff like that. Because I just love to laugh. Things that makes me laugh, I'm with it. I'm with it. And at the same time too, I'm a man of integrity and character. You know what I'm saying, and and respect. Because in order for me to get respect, first and foremost, I must set the foundation of giving it. And that's not only that's just a personal, that's who I am, but it seems that that's part of my faith. And the thing is, one of the greatest things that I feel that God gave man was the gift to give. And giving is like, look, respect, honor, encouragement. Because once you give those things out, it's almost like saying, in other words, you ever heard of something, you reap what you sow?
Right.
That's all what that's all about. What sowing is about giving. So it's like what I'm doing right now is part of my faith and part of my personal character as well, and persona and disposition, is that I'm sowing into what you're doing, even though you're doing me a benefit by interviewing me, make me feel good about myself. Hey, somebody's out there is interested in what I have to say. But at the same time, too, I want to encourage you by allowing you to be openly honest and open questions and stuff like that. So therefore, like, hey, there's someone that's out there who believes in what you are doing because I believe in what I'm doing. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your opinion about people asking me, say, "Oh, I will only do your show if you pay me for my time"? Do you think I should actually, go through? There was like only one person I had to pay for their time, but going forward, I really don't feel like either you're gonna do it and you gotta be supportive. And I understand you're a celebrity and you want to be paid for your time, but at the same time, you're missing the point.
Well, you know what? I have two answers for that, but my later answer will be the one I will go with. My first answer is this: if this is part of somebody's profession, to be interviewed and give kind of information, stuff like that, then maybe it's so. You know what? Here's the thing: it's okay for them to ask for monetary compensation. But here's my second ask. I have no problem with that. I would never pay somebody who, say for instance, I'm gonna say I would never pay somebody. I'm not saying, if I'm on a platform where that I am a market that you have not tapped, then you should be able to do whatever you can for free to get, to get that audience. Because there's people who's gonna be watching your interviews, probably not gonna be watching anything else that person's gonna be on. But once they get a chance to see that person's interview, how they come across in the interview, they might want to go out there and support that person. Now, here's my second part of this question. And this right here, I'm going with 95%. I would never have someone to ask someone, look here, or tell someone, in order for me to show up, you got to have a certain amount of money.
Right.
Because here's the reason why I'm saying that. You cannot pay for free publicity. This is marketing. Let's just be real with it. Let's say you have 5,000 viewers. That's 5,000 people I didn't have to pay for. And 5,000 begets another 5,000. And that 5,000 gets another 5,000. That's 15,000 people in the power of a matter of a month. I said, hey, check this person out. He was on the Keith Andrews show. Or she was on the Keith Andrews show. And we just keep going back, have this little nice little friendly banter and blah, blah, and talk about everything under the sun or under the sea. So for me, that's free publicity. I want myself to get out there. If I don't have to worry about paying for it, I'm already paying for the internet service, but what else is there? All I'm paying is an act of kindness, and in return as free publicity out to anybody else who's watching the Keith Andrews show. Hey, I'm always saying, look here. If someone say they want to, you have to charge them. They're gonna charge you for them to be interviewed. They don't need to be on your show. They're not. I'm gonna stand my point right here. Here's a perfect example. This is the best example. If I'm in a church and I don't feel comfortable that for musicians who were born and raised or who are members of the church should get paid to play on Sundays, to be the church musician. I'm not saying that is your church. Why are you charging your church to play music? You understand? This is where you're being spiritually fed at. Why are you charging for that? Now, if you go out and play for another church, that's all well and good because that's not your home church. You always want to take care of your home first. You don't go to somebody else's house and vacuum and mop their floors and not your own, right?
Right.
And charge your own mom and dad and you're gonna have to pay me, but you're gonna be kind to someone that's do it for free because you want them to like you. That's kind of an oxymoron to me. So yeah, I have a big thing with that. Like I said, when I was in my church back in New York with my wife and I and stuff, we got married in. I was on the trustee board. I was on the kitchen committee. I was head of all these boards, and I would not take a dime. I said, this is where this is my home. I won't charge you for that. I don't believe in that. So when it comes to your particular show or shows like yours, when people who's out there in the media whose face needs to, all about the face and stuff like that, should not be, especially, if you go on, here's the thing. They probably wouldn't go on the David Leno or Kimmel or all those kind of shows in charge. It might be a contract, they might get a little compensation, but that's a multi-billion-dollar company. Anyway, they can slide $5,000, $10,000. But for someone basically who's just like starting out, or probably not even just starting, they've been around for a while, but they are providing a platform for people to be heard and be seen, and to be seen in a different light. How many times have you seen all these big celebrities, saying this constantly under the gun with some dumb stuff? You like say, really, y'all reporting this? How dumb can that be? It's like there's no more integrity anymore. There's more. It's all about character assassination. But see, when it comes to I'm not gonna say that your show is not successful, but compared to Jimmy Kimmel, let's just weigh it out. Your show is not as successful as it's going to be. Hear me clearly. It's not as successful as it's going to be, or it will become if you stay with it and stick to it and start putting in the work and start putting in all the hardware recording platforms so that you need to do to get it to the next level. But that still should not negate anybody for not wanting to like say, you know what, let me try to, it's almost like saying keeping your street credit. People's all in Hollywood, but sometimes they may do things on a low profile just to keep that street cred. Because the people on the streets not going to go to the Hollywood movies and stuff see the Hollywood movies. They may get this stuff off of DVD or even if I might get it for bootleg, wherever they get it, and they see that someone who's up there willing to do that kind of work. Because the fact because they're more passionate about the work than the status, then they always would be big in my eyes. You understand what I'm talking about?
Right.
Now that's granted. There's some things you say to yourself. It's not to the fact that you're so big now that you can't do it. Is that it should be at the point where it's that there ought to be something you should grow from. You got to get to levels. Right now, you're going through your second level or third level season. I think this is your second season or third season of this again.
Third season.
It's your third season. So that means you are growing. You mentioned you said, all right, season 1, this is what's going on. Season 2, this is what's going on. This is season 3, and you're still going on, and it's getting better. Because why? You're allowing yourself to grow, and you're interviewing the right people who is also growing along with you. I appreciate you. You're doing a good thing. I couldn't pay for this. I could not pay or even beg somebody to take the time out and want to interview me. So this is why I said answer to all those 3 questions and stuff like that. You have been a blessing. And I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know where you choose to put it, where the case may be. But there will be someone out there who may be able to glean from what we talked about today, and that is enough.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up, do you have any words of wisdom or any funny stories you like to share?
Oh man, that's. It's too many. It's so many stories I can't even recall them basically right now. But I will try to leave you with this. It's a universal thought. Is that you ever heard of this term? This cliche, and I really think that it's been overused in the wrong way. That blood is thicker than water.
Right.
And that was always been used as a term where is that people would say, well, when you have a blood family member and you have a friend and you being asked to choose, and like say for instance, if a father has a son and he gets married to a woman who's not the son's mother, say, well, blood is thicker than water, and you got two new friends and stuff like that, and I say to myself, you have to use that kind of cliche across the whole board, especially for those who's been in your corner. Because trust me, I have family members who I grew up with, lived in the same household with, and yet I have friends who I've met years later who we are closer, where that I consider them to be my family. I consider them to be my blood. So therefore, I don't consider my friends as being water. I consider my friends to be my blood. And that's my blood and friendship. And when you're going into any particular endeavor and stuff like that, you got to learn and know who your friends are. And lots of times your friends is really your family. And sometimes your family can be one of your biggest enemies. So you got to learn that balance. So it doesn't matter in what walk of life that you may be in, or whatever type of thing in life you're trying to pursue. Make sure that the ones who got your back, who says to your friend and say your close family also too got your back. That's something that you don't even have to worry about, think about. I'm not saying walking blind into something, but most definitely so. You want to make sure that you have that true camaraderie. Because it doesn't matter where you go in life, they always will be there.